Good morning, my friends. So, a few nights ago, I did a live with Lori, and this piece about the masterpiece came through, and I believe that I'm going to be using that a lot for teachings, just to elaborate on what exactly that means. There. So, you have to see your higher self as the great artist. The higher self is outside of time. So, your higher self dwells outside of time, and time is a construct. And so when we're in the construct of time, and usually what binds us to the construct of time is the belief that we hold around time. The beliefs that we hold that cause our vibration to slow down, which subsequently slows down time. So someone might say, I believe that I can't make money without my partner. And so they're going to be in a relationship that they don't want to be in for a very long time based on that belief. If they did not have that belief and they knew they were discontent within that relationship, dissatisfied within that relationship, that wouldn't be a conversation. So everything is premised on our beliefs. Your higher self is the great artist. The great artist has already completed the masterpiece, i.e., your life. Because outside of time, it's all happening at once. Yes? Abracadabra. But when our human bodies are here, meaning when your spirit is encased within this human body, and you have these beliefs, you're running all these limitations of separation, meaning you are separate from your timeless self, from the great artist that you are that is dwelling outside of time, then yes, time will feel very, very, very real. Anyways, there was this message that came through the other night that was like, when you go through a rough patch in life or through a dark moment in your life, you're feeling down in the dumps, you're feeling a lot of pain, a lot of sorrow, a lot of stress. That is just one brushstroke in the grand masterpiece that is being produced, and that has already been completed by the great artist. The great artist is really just putting an expression on that canvas. And so it might be a darker color because they're feeling passion in that moment, or maybe they're thinking about a past lover that broke their heart. So they're like, brah. And as the human, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel the brunt of that. Because when we are disconnected from the great artist, then we think that this is the end and be all. Like, I'm screwed. My life is going awry, and I can't seem to get out of this feeling. Now, the brushstroke can feel very long depending on your speed of vibration. Meaning, if you get twirled up in the woe is me, and you lose sight of the greater picture, quite literally, but no, the great masterpiece. If you lose sight of the great masterpiece and your vibration is slower, then of course that brushstroke is going to feel a lot lengthier. So it's like, and the pain is going to feel very long, because remember, time is an illusion and time responds to your beliefs. If you, however, don't lose sight of the great artist that is having a cathartic experience of creating a masterpiece, and that dark brushstroke, that painful brushstroke, needs to be there, because if it wasn't there, then the masterpiece would lack dimensionality. It would lack profundity. And so the pain that you're going through is a temporary expression. It's a temporary expression that is going to add to the brilliance of the masterpiece. What we do as humans is we start to over-identify with and as the brushstroke to the degree that we forget that it's happening for a greater reason. It's happening for the sake of birthing this masterpiece, which is going to be revolutionary for humans. Humans are going to be in awe of your masterpiece. Sometimes, I know I'm going a little deep, sometimes we can even over-identify with and as the masterpiece itself. So we forget that we are the great artist, meaning you are so obsessed with your work and with how the world perceives you and your work that your ego starts to inflame itself, and you wouldn't know who you would be if you weren't Michelangelo or Picasso, meaning if people weren't bowing to you and putting you on a pedestal for every masterpiece that you gave birth to, then you would feel depressed. That would mean that you're still identifying with and as the masterpiece. See, the thing about the ego wants to hijack every experience. So when the great artist does that brushstroke that has more pain in it, and you think you are the brushstroke, then it means that your ego has attached to something that it is afraid of. And it convinces you that your life is now going to go awry, that everything's going to go horribly wrong. And it's excruciating when you live in that state. It's excruciating because the ego attaches onto everything that it can based on the belief that you're running at the time. So I want to remind you today that you are not that brushstroke. That brushstroke is allowing for this genius masterpiece to be birthed through you. So it is the great artist, meaning your higher self, that you may be connected to or not connected to in that moment. If you're connected to it, the brushstroke won't last long. Okay, are you following? Because you won't identify and attach to the pain in the brushstroke. If you're disconnected from the higher self or from the great artist, then that brushstroke runs the risk of lasting a very, very long time. Very long time. Because now you don't have access to the greater reality, which is outside of time. And you're just a participant in that moment to bring this masterpiece to life. And if you don't know that, then of course you're going to think that it's happening to you, that life is pummeling you. This hurts, the brushstroke hurts, it's happening to me. Make it stop, make it stop. And so you lose sight of the great artist that you are. So the key is to not define ourselves or be characterized by the brushstroke, because then you lose sight of the fact that there's a wonderful masterpiece being created. The other key is to not be defined or characterized by the masterpiece itself, because the great artist, the genius artist that you are, isn't the masterpiece. The great artist is a great artist because they keep pumping out masterpieces. And if you get too attached to the masterpiece, every time someone salutes you or gives you praise, then your ego will puff up. Your ego will inflame. So that's a booby trap too. Okay? That's a booby trap. So you don't want to fall for that. But if you can at least link into the masterpiece, never mind the great artist, just link into the fact that there's something wonderful being birthed through you, and that's pretty good. It's better than being the brushstroke, because that brushstroke is very painful. It contains a lot of darkness in it from your vantage point. But from the final vantage point, it's a masterpiece. And everyone agrees it's a masterpiece. I mean, think about when if you've given birth to a child, yes? There's something being expressed through you. There's something birthing through your birth canal. It's painful AF. It's painful as hell. But once your child is born, you won't even care about the pain that you underwent in labor. You won't care. Because your child is born, and that's a miracle. So this is how you have to start to view it. I'm in a lot of pain right now. A lot of pain, but it's temporary. I'm going to obviously give myself a permission slip to feel the pain. But to the best of my ability, I will not disconnect from the great artist that is creating this masterpiece. The great artist being me. Having a cathartic experience of expression to offer something to the world. So what is it that you're offering to the world? When you are the brushstroke, you are uninstalling programs that you identified with and as. That's a service to humanity. So you're in the pain. I'm going to disidentify from that pain because I know that I am not that pain. That pain is just an expression happening through me to help me grow, to help me expand, to help give birth to this baby that is the masterpiece. That is a service to humanity. So always having that in the back of your mind. And then how are you being of service to the world? By being the great artist? Well, you are beautifying the world. You are beautifying the world. You are giving something to people that they can hold on to, that can provide them with hope. Do you see what I mean? I don't know why I feel like this was one of my most important talks ever. So I'm probably going to upload it to YouTube as well. You are the great artist. Please do not identify with the temporary brushstroke. If you do, that brushstroke is going to feel very long and very painful. And it'll be painful for as long as it needs to be painful until you uninstall the belief that is causing you to be bound to time. Your great artist lives outside of time. Your life is one of many, many infinite masterpieces. And sometimes in this life, you won't have access to those masterpieces. But that's what you are. You are the masterpiece. You are also that great artist producing these masterpieces. I love you so much.